Hello again. It's still January 21st, and this is Wednesday. And I'm going to try to pick up where I left off and try to get where I was hoping to get to in class today. But I hope I've got more energy now and I'm thinking more clearly. I've consumed about as much caffeine as I can stand, but that's enough personal information. We were looking at the view model, and I think the next thing to do, the first thing to do is comment this stuff. This is about the keyboard. About the keyboard, which of course is the connection between the virtual keyboard and in the model and the actual keyboard that we see on the screen in the view. This is stuff about the user's guesses. At least that's the intent. And of course, we've already looked at, if you remember from earlier today, we already have the user's guesses set up over in the model, but they're not exposed to the view so that the view can put them on the screen. So let's expose the model's array of user guesses to the view. And the view, remember, is just more or less taking these data structures and just plopping them on the screen. It's not doing any thinking about them. It doesn't even store anything about the state. So what we need is here, just like we did with letter options, we need, I'll stick with this new convention we got, model user guesses. So it's not the same name, and no, it's not an array of string. It's an array of, it's an array of guesses. Guess, back in the model. And it's computed variable, but in our case, all we're doing is returning what we can see that the view can't see, which is m.userGuesses, which, if that works as advertised, that was fairly straightforward and simple, or so I'll claim. What we don't have now is actually any way to view the guess on the screen. So let me just really quickly, I'm sorry I'm delaying this video or prolonging the video. I want to make sure I didn't break anything. It really messes things up to put them on the big screen. It's printing stuff out over here. I've got to figure out how to reduce the size of the iPad simulator now that it's not on the big screen. When I put stuff on the big screen, it all gets tiny. I'll just use simulator, maybe settings. If it's not straightforward in settings, then I'm going to forget about it for now. That doesn't look like anything that's nothing's ever easy. So it's not easy to find out where the settings are on the simulator. I'll worry about that later. Now I'm trying to get the darn thing to stop. Now it's stopped. Okay. And here we are, still in the view model, but that's not where I need to be. I need to make a view for the guess. And I've already got a guess file here, but this is not the view. I think this is going to be part of the model. So we need to expose another file. New file from template. My mouse is just not, the clicks are not working for some reason. I put brand new batteries in it. I thought that would fix it. And I'm going to call this guess view, because this is what a guess looks like on the screen. And it's going into WG003, which we decided was the correct thing. And since this is going to be part of the view, I'll go ahead and put up here as part of the view. V-I-E-W. And I'll do the documentation later before we draw all pictures of the data structures Friday. But this has got to be Swift UI. Okay. And this, I hope, will be a view for a, not for a, Arkansas again, for a single letter of a user's guess. And that, remember that that's different from a keyboard key. These are the things up top where the user gets to see what they've guessed so far. And I'm going to have a variable here I'm going to call letter ID. Now that's not strong enough to make it identifiable. We might have to do that later. But that's the letter. That's the index number of the letter that's actually, well, it's not in anything right now. It's a global variable. How about I make a structure so that we've got something to work with here. struct, and I'm calling this letter guess view until we come up with a better name. And it is a view. If it has, like I said, if it has to be identifiable, we'll work that out later. And I don't want all that stuff. Don't make me do all that stuff. I want var letter ID, and I don't even trust my copy and paste anymore. int, there. You are obsolete, be gone. Now then, that will hold the number of the letter from the keyboard that goes in there, and it says this does not conform to protocol view, and we know that one by now. That means you don't have a var body, and you have to have a var body. Not only that, that has to be some view, and it's helping me with that. So that's great. And this actually does have something in common with the keyboard key. It's going to be a Z stack. But since the letter ID is optional, I have to unwrap it before I could use it. If let, and I'm running out of names, letter number. Again, all of these are open for suggestions for better variable names and function names and everything. Equals letter ID, yes, I'll take that. Then I got to return the Z stack that I'm going to use to create what it looks like on the screen. And that takes a curly bracket, not a colon. It's a view builder, and here we fill in the Z stack stuff. It's going to be another rounded rectangle. I think on this one I could probably just use plain rectangle, but I'm sticking to familiar territory as much as possible. And my corner radius is not going to be 10. If I want it to be a square, then the corner radius needs to be 0. I'll make it 0.0 because I think it is a floating point value. And I don't want the frame stuff. I don't know what I did to accept that, but now I'm unaccepting it. I don't want any of that stuff. Let me make my own. Let me do it myself. I do want the fill. I think it's going to be by default, but the fill color, I want it to be white. Color white, I'll take that. And the outline dot stroke, S-T-R-O-K-E, should be gray, color dot gray, or just plain gray. Either one of those will work. I hope. Listen to me talking like I know what'll work and what won't. Dot aspect ratio. And we have to make our own squares because they don't provide squares for us, strangely enough. And the aspect ratio, the width and height are equal to each other. And you've also got to set the mysterious content mode. And the only one I've used so far is dot fit. I don't even know what the others do, but I'll stick with fit because fit works. So that's if there is a letter set already. I've got a rounded rectangle. This is if let letter number, and I need to put it on there. Text, not test, but text, and that's an index into our symbolic constant array. Key labels, letter number, yes, I shall take that if you exist. And I want you to be bold. I want you to stand out, please. And I want your font, and remember we can set our system size with font, and 20, I think that's going to be too small. 60 will probably be too big, but I'll try it. And yes, I am going to replace all of these literals with symbolic constants, but I'm going to do that later. Can it find test? Did I leave it test? I thought I fixed that. XT. Now, go away. Go away. Thank you. And there's the body. Missing, return, and getter for property expected to return some view. That's the body. Missing property for getter. If. I think it's complaining, it's cryptic about it, but I think it's complaining, even though I have a return here, that I haven't covered the other possibility, which is no, there is no value for that optional. So I look at it trying to help me. I need an else return, and pretty much I'm going to return the same thing, except the text will be nothing. Command C for copy. No, down arrow. And highlight. No! Highlight. Command V for paste. Now it's returning exactly the same thing, except can't find letter number because this is not where the optional is being unwrapped. This is where it's not unwrappable because there ain't nothing there. So I think we could just put a blank in there. Can we? If we just put a blank in there, then I don't think we don't need the bold in the font because there's nothing there. Now, can you fix it? It still doesn't like it. Resulted call to aspect ratio is unused? How is that unused? I mean, I still want to see the rounded rectangle on this. Oh, I copied the wrong part. I've still got to return a Z-stack that has all this stuff in it. Yeah, the caffeine is not working, or at least maybe it's not kicked in. Return Z-stack with all this stuff in it. You knew that. Tab over to now, do they match? Here's a weird thing. Let me tell you what I tried, and it didn't work. Expected, am I missing a curly bracket? Looks like I'm missing a curly bracket, probably so. Got a lot going on here. Some view that, who is this matching? Okay, this matches the if. Here's the else. Oh, I don't have a closing curly bracket for the Z stack that didn't exist before. Now I'm existing it. That's a new verb. Passive verb. I existed it. Now, match for the Z stack, match for the else, match for everybody else, and I think everybody's happy. Here's what I tried that didn't work. I thought, foolish me, ignorantly, I thought, I'm going to, what am I going to do? I'm going to have a variable called letter to display. I'm going to ruin this for just a second. And I'll tell you what I did. I don't want to ruin this because I've got all the errors gone. I put another variable inside the structure called letter to display. And what that does is reduce the size of my if else. I said if let letter equals letter ID, then letter to display equals the key labels letter number. Else, then the letter to display equals the blank character. And that way, why I did that, I thought, well, that'll be cleaner and more elegant than having this entire Z-stack replicated twice. The problem is you can't change the values of variables inside structures unless you're inside a mutating function. And this is not a mutating function. This is simply a closure to compute the value of a computed variable named body. So it would not let me set a structure variable inside the if let. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, I can demonstrate that in class. But I thought it would be simpler to say, if unwrap the optional, then let letter to display equals this key labels business, else let it equal the blank, and just say text, parentheses, letter to display, and make the rest of the Z stack the same. And it complained to high heaven, it wouldn't let me do that. So I had to relent and not do that. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Now, what do I not have? This is the view. That's all of this business. That was for one letter in the guess, just like all the work we had to do for one keyboard key. This is supposed to be here, and there was some discussion and confusion about this in class. This is a view for a complete user guess word. I don't know what else to call it. But we decided what it was a row of these letters. It's a row of letter. I hope I used a capital. Yes, letter guess views. And you're thinking, well, don't we already have that? I thought we had an array in the model of all the user guesses. The array in the model of all the user guesses has nothing to do with the screen. That's the model keeping up with what it needs to know to be able to watch what's going on in the game. In the guest view, this is screen oriented, and that's why everything is a view. So I need a structure. This time I remember to make it a structure. I need a structure that I'll call letter guess row view. There it is. And that also has to be a view. And this is going to be a bunch of these things up here that I just got through inventing. It's going to be a bunch of those stuck together, and I know it doesn't conform to view. It's an error I know how to fix, praise the Lord. Var, excuse my profanity, I hope I didn't offend anybody. Body, some view. And I need a whole row of these things. Let me see here. I probably, well, I could put different letters in all of them. I think what I'm going to do, for now, just existence proof, I'm just going to make an H stack and just put a bunch of these things in there. Letter guess view. Lazy, 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 but I don't trust my weakened state intelligence here. And the letter ID, you know what? I could do that. I could just say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, except it only goes up to 5. Tab, letter, I forgot what that is. Letter guess option. Autocomplete is as lazy as I am. No, it's not. It's a letter guess view. And I need a letter ID that's 4. And I think it only goes up as high as 5. So there we go. There's an H stack. And that should show me all the letters 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 across a guess. And the user, is that right? The user is guessing those letters 0, 1, 2, 3. No, they're not that many. That's going to cause a problem. It might be interesting to see what error that generates, but we only have 5. We only have 5 letters across, so let's stick to 5. And we can generate errors on purpose later. Let me see if this is broken. Build failed. Cannot find sum with a capital S. How about lowercase s? Do you like me now? I've got to unbiggen this display somehow. This is the simulator. Device. Edit. Simulator. You'd think it would be in the services somewhere. Let me see if the magical Shift Command minus does anything. Does not. Window. Move and resize. I don't see anything that says resize. Help! Zoom. Resize. We looked at that. I hate wasting time on this, but I don't see how to make it smaller. Darn it. We'll just have to deal with it for now, and I'll figure that out before I do the symbolic constants file, before I do the symbolic constants video. Now, you might think all this worked, but I didn't see anything on the screen. And you are correct. There was nothing on the screen. We've got to go to the content view, because that's who decides what's on the screen and what isn't. I'm going to make that go away temporarily, so that I've got more space over here. While we're at it, we might as well start inching toward something that actually looks like the game. I'm going to put a title at the top. Put a title at the top. And I'm inside the V stack, so this will be part of the vertical stack. I'll just say text. And if we're going to do colors, I'll call this a colorful No. Colorful word game. There. That doesn't break any copyright laws. And I want to make it bigger, so I can make it font. Large title. No. Font. And since we know how to set a specific font with dot system, I'll do that. System. Size. And yes, I have to look at a reference sheet. When I put the colon, when I put the dot, when I put the parentheses. This stuff is just, I don't think they intended for it to be intuitive, and they were successful at that. It is not intuitive. And now, before we get to the keyboard that isn't really a keyboard because there are very few keys on it, I need to put rows of all the user guesses. Rows of all user guesses, even though they're filled in artificially right now. And that'll be a for each. For each who. Ask the view model, please tell me what the model's user guesses are. Model, there it is, model user guesses. And each one of those things is a guess. I guess it is. No, don't do that. It's a lowercase guess. Maybe that's not. I'll do this guess. That'll be this guess. Is that less confusing? Probably not. This guess, and that's our local parameter in a function in what? I need to make a letter guess row for each thing. Letter guess row view. That's the one I want. Letter guess row view, and I need to somehow or another specify what row I'm on so that all the other pieces, row, this guess, dot ID. I don't even know if those pieces exist. This guess, got to bring the files back. The guess has an ID number, right? Yes, has an ID. Letter guess row. Letter guess row. That's in the guess view. Letter guess view. Letter guess row. At the moment, it has no variable to store what its row number is. So we should make one, shouldn't we? Int row int. And if you wonder why well, it's not going to be optional. Every time we make a letter guess row, it will be for a specific row, which means we will have to supply a value for this when we decide we're going to allocate a letter guess row view. I'm talking to me as much as I'm talking to you. Back to the content view. Now I can make a, well, why aren't you happy with that? Letter guess row view. Letter guess row view. Int row. Oh, man, that was a cryptic error message. Int row. Huh? Aren't you happy with that? Expected. This is not a parameter. That's not how you define variables in Swift. What are you thinking? Int row int. Yeah, I might as well have not had any caffeine at all. How you like me now? Okay, made it go away there. And that was even with this oversimplification down here. I'm just hopeless today. This is not a good day. And here I thought I couldn't possibly make any videos worse than the ones I'd already made. Wah. I forgot where I was. We're in the content view, and we're making rows of all the user. Oh, the error went away. How am I supposed to know what line I'm on if there's not an error message on the end of it? So for this, in letter guess row view, I make it a letter guess row view, and I might as well go for broke and say on tab gesture. We'll just pile it all in there. And on the tap gesture, I just want to see if I'm there, for crying out loud. Most of my on tap gestures, by the way, you might have figured this out already, start off as just simple print statements, and I don't even know where I am. I am in the view. This is a view talking. And where am I? On row / parentheses And I should be on thisgets.id. Yeah, that's right. You got it right. You got that right. Let me see. I don't know. If this flies, it will be miraculous. Oh, look at that. Now I wish that, look at this. It says colorful word game, and I got all the letters and all the rows, and the iPad is too big. Please, oh please. How can you be resized device? I've got to stop even looking for this. And let me see. I can't click on the letters. They're not even on the screen. But what if I click on this? Look at that. On row 1. I should quit right now while I'm ahead. Click way down here. On row 3, starting at 0. On row 0. So, ladies and gentlemen, I think for now, that's about as good as I can get that. Wouldn't you say? If I were to press my luck, I would say, well, let's see if we can choose a row. Is that too much? That might be too much. That might be more than we need to do right now. Yeah, let's choose a row next time. I think we got enough data structures. We can fill up both of the whiteboards. So I'm going to declare victory and retreat, except that I still need to do the symbolic constants for things like the 40 and all that. And I still need to figure out how the heck to shrink that stupid simulator. I'm sorry, it's artificially intelligent. It probably heard me. Shrink that gorgeous, beautiful simulator. But for now, I'm going to stop this video. See you soon.